Ever wondered what it was like to cook for a king? Step into the bustling medieval castle kitchen, where dozens of cooks prepared elaborate feasts fit for royalty. From exotic spices to dedicated food tasters, discover the fascinating world of medieval royal dining. Let's explore the massive scale of medieval castle kitchens. These weren't your average cooking spaces. Picture a room nearly the size of a modern basketball court, with ceiling heights reaching up to 40 feet. The kitchen was typically divided into specialized areas: the main cooking space with multiple hearths, separate rooms for meat preparation, bakeries for bread and pastries, and storage areas for ingredients. Massive fireplaces dominated the walls, each dedicated to different types of dishes. The floors were often made of stone to prevent fires, and high windows allowed smoke to escape while providing natural light. This wasn't just one room, it was a complex network of interconnected spaces, each serving a specific purpose in creating those incredible royal feasts. The kitchen staff operated under a strict hierarchy, with the master cook at the top, commanding incredible respect and authority. Below him were specialized cooks, the sauce chef, roast master, and pastry expert, each managing their own team. The middle ranks included apprentice cooks and assistants who handled specific tasks like vegetable preparation or maintaining the fires. At the bottom were the scullery boys and kitchen maids who did the heavy lifting, cleaning pots, hauling water, and scrubbing floors. This wasn't just about cooking, it was a complex organization where everyone knew their place and role. Some talented cooks even rose to become trusted royal advisors, showing just how important food was to medieval court life. Now, let's talk about one of the most dangerous jobs in the medieval kitchen, the royal food taster. These brave individuals weren't just casual taste testers. They were the king's last line of defense against poisoning, a very real threat in medieval courts. Food tasters would sample every dish about 15 minutes before it reached the royal table, giving enough time for any poison to take effect. They didn't just taste the food, they also inspected the preparation process and even watched for unusual colors or smells. Some food tasters even swallowed special antidote mixtures before meals as an extra precaution. Despite these risks, the position was actually quite prestigious, often held by trusted nobles who lived in close proximity to the royal family. Let's dive into the most precious ingredients in medieval royal kitchens: spices. These weren't just flavor enhancers, they were symbols of power and wealth. Pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg, and saffron were worth their weight in gold, literally. Kings would showcase their status by using these expensive spices lavishly in their dishes. Imagine paying the equivalent of a worker's monthly wages just for a pound of pepper. Merchants traveled dangerous routes across Asia and the Middle East to bring these treasures to European castles. The royal kitchen stored these spices in special locked chambers, and only trusted spice masters could access them. Even common dishes were transformed into luxury items by adding these exotic seasonings, turning simple meat pies into displays of royal power. Let's check out the incredible tools medieval castle cooks used to create their masterpieces. The centerpiece was the massive iron spit roast, powered by servants or even trained dogs walking in turnspits. Copper pots and cauldrons hung from adjustable chains above the fires, while specialized tools like flesh hooks and strainers helped cooks handle boiling ingredients safely. Storage was equally impressive. Massive salt boxes preserved meat, while ventilated pantries kept vegetables fresh. The kitchen also had specialized equipment like wafer irons for making thin cookies and mortars and pestles for grinding spices. One of the most impressive tools was the clockwork roasting jack, a mechanical device that automatically turned the spit to ensure even cooking. Let's peek at a typical day of royal dining. A medieval king's breakfast wasn't just toast and coffee, it often included fresh bread, wine-soaked manchet rolls, and various meats like venison or roasted fowl. By lunchtime, known as dinner in medieval times, the real feast began. The king would enjoy multiple courses featuring elaborately prepared game birds, fish dishes on fast days, and exotic meat pies. The evening meal, or supper, was slightly lighter but still impressive, with delicate soups, roasted meats, and sweet confections. Between meals, light refreshments called voiders kept the royal stomach satisfied. Every meal was a carefully choreographed performance, with each dish arriving in a specific order and served with great ceremony. When it came to special occasions, medieval castle kitchens truly outdid themselves. Royal feasts weren't just meals, they were spectacular events that could last for days. The kitchen staff would spend weeks preparing, creating incredible displays like roasted peacocks redressed in their own feathers, or pies that released live birds when cut open. A typical royal banquet could feature up to 20 courses, with entertainment between each serving. The logistics were mind-boggling. Imagine coordinating hundreds of dishes to arrive hot and perfectly timed. These feasts weren't just about food, they were political events where kings demonstrated their wealth and power through culinary showmanship. Some banquets were so large that temporary kitchens had to be built to handle the workload. Let's explore how medieval castle kitchens kept their food fresh without modern refrigeration. The most common method was salting. Huge amounts of salt were used to preserve meat in special chambers called salt houses. Smoking was another key technique, with dedicated smoking rooms where meat and fish hung from the ceiling. Underground storage areas called cold rooms kept dairy products and vegetables cool, while honey and sugar were used to preserve fruits. Spices didn't just add flavor, they also helped prevent food spoilage. The castle's location was carefully planned to include natural springs or wells for fresh water storage. Special ventilated rooms called larders kept perishables as fresh as possible, while root cellars protected vegetables through winter. Let's explore where all this amazing food came from. Every castle had its own kitchen garden, a carefully planned space that supplied fresh herbs, vegetables, and fruits. These weren't just simple vegetable patches. They were elaborate spaces divided into sections for medicinal herbs, cooking ingredients, and even flowers for garnishing royal dishes. But the real excitement came from hunting, a noble pursuit that provided much of the castle's meat. The royal hunting grounds, or chase, were strictly protected areas where only the king and his chosen guests could hunt. Skilled huntsmen tracked deer, boar, and game birds, while falconers trained birds of prey to catch smaller game. The freshly caught meat would be rushed back to the castle kitchen, where it became the centerpiece of royal meals. Think medieval dining was all about messy eating? Think again. The royal court had incredibly strict rules about table manners. Nobles were expected to wash their hands in rosewater before meals, and using your left hand for eating was considered extremely rude. Kings and queens never touched salt directly. They used special gold salt spoons. There were specific rules about cutting bread rather than breaking it, and pieces of meat had to be cut precisely in uniform sizes. Even the order of serving was strictly regulated. The most honored guests received the first portions of meat from the top of the roast. Believe it or not, burping at the royal table wasn't just acceptable, it was sometimes considered a compliment to the chef. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through medieval castle kitchens. If you enjoyed this taste of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow food history enthusiasts. Until next time, keep exploring the flavors of the past.